I moved in with Ethan during my second year of college. He was quiet, clean, and a psychology major. The ideal roommate, really. We kept to ourselves mostly, but he was always polite, soft-spoken, and unnervingly calm. At first, I appreciated it. That changed a few months in. It started with small things. I'd come home and find my room off, nothing missing, nothing broken, but slightly rearranged. My hoodie would be folded instead of tossed on the chair. My desk drawer, which I always left ajar, would be shut tight. Once I swear my toothbrush was wet when I got home, and I hadn't been there all day. I asked Ethan about it, casually. He smiled and said, "Maybe you're just forgetting things." I laughed. He laughed, but his eyes didn't. Then there were the questions. Harmless at first. "Have you been sleeping okay? Do you remember your dreams?" Then deeper. "Did your parents ever hit you? What scares you most when you're alone?" He said he was working on a paper for class. I didn't think much of it. He was a psychology major. Maybe it was some weird assignment. But one night he left for a weekend trip, and curiosity got the better of me. His bedroom door was usually locked, but he'd forgotten this time. It was spotless, too spotless. The bed was made with military precision. His desk was covered in books. And then I saw the box under his bed. Inside were 5 folders. Each one had a name on the tab. One of them was mine. I opened it. Inside were pages of notes, typed and handwritten. Observations, dates, my habits, word-for-word transcripts of conversations I barely remembered having. One page was titled, "Subject's Reaction to Sudden Silence During Conflict." Another read, "Increased Paranoia After Minor Environmental Adjustments." I felt sick. At the back of the folder, I found photos of me, sleeping, showering. One through a window from outside the apartment. There was a USB drive taped to the inside cover. Against my better judgment, I plugged it into my laptop. It contained audio recordings, hundreds of them, all dated. Most were of me, talking to myself, muttering in my room, pacing. Some were of me on the phone, and one was a recording of me and Ethan talking in the kitchen. But I never saw a recorder, never agreed to be recorded, never even knew he had a mic on him. I panicked, called campus police. They came, took everything. Ethan was expelled, but vanished before they could arrest him. Apparently, the other folders were former roommates, people who had reported him for strange behavior, but nothing had stuck. The school offered counseling. I moved out immediately. Sometimes I still feel like I'm being watched. I started keeping a white noise machine on when I sleep, hoping to drown out the feeling. The worst part? A week ago, I got a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a folder, labeled with my middle name, and a new note on top. Subject believes they are safe. Observation to resume shortly. When I first met my new roommate, Jay, he seemed a little off. Not in a dangerous way, more like socially awkward. He avoided eye contact, kept to himself, and never talked about his past. But hey, I needed someone to split rent, and he always paid on time. A few weeks after he moved in, I noticed strange things happening at night. My bedroom door, which I always kept shut, would be slightly open in the morning. My phone would be dead, even when I remembered charging it. Once I woke up to find my desk chair had been turned, facing my bed. I brushed it off. Stress, sleepwalking, maybe even forgetting things. But then Jay started getting richer. It was sudden. One day, he was living on instant ramen and borrowing my toothpaste. The next, he had a brand new gaming laptop, noise-canceling headphones, and a $1,200 ergonomic chair. When I asked, he just said, freelance consulting, online gigs, whatever. I didn't pry. Until one night I couldn't sleep and noticed the glow under his door. I passed by quietly and heard faint whispering. At first I thought he was on a call, but then I stopped and listened. There was no talking, it was chanting. I put my ear closer. The voices weren't just his. There were others, whispery, overlapping, unnatural. I felt cold. Something was wrong. I crept back to my room. A few nights later, my laptop webcam light flicked on while I was in bed. I sat up in shock. It turned off instantly. I checked my settings. Nothing running. I covered the camera with tape. The next morning, I found a note under my door. You're more interesting than you think. That was it. Just that. I confronted Jay, but he acted clueless. Maybe one of your friends is messing with you? He said, smiling in that creepy, blank way. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, he left for class, and I finally snapped. I broke into his room. It was like walking into a surveillance lab. 3 monitors, all on, all showing live feeds of our apartment, my bedroom, the bathroom, the living room, even the hallway. I saw myself on one screen, sitting on the couch the night before. The footage was time-stamped and labeled Live Chat, 45 viewers. There were usernames in the chat: Watcher 99, Skinner God, Xfeeder 420. They were commenting on everything: what I wore, how I scratched my leg, when I yawned. One of them wrote, "He has no clue he's the content. Love this channel." I unplugged everything, took screenshots, called the police. Jay vanished before they arrived. Turns out he'd been renting me out online, broadcasting my life to some sick underground voyeur community. He'd done it to 3 other roommates before, across different cities. Never stayed long enough to get caught. The police still haven't found him. A week later, I got an email from an unknown address. Subject line: new streamer application received. Inside was just one sentence: "We miss your energy. The audience is waiting." And below that, a live thumbnail of me in my bedroom from a new angle.
It started the night my new roommate, Adam, moved in. He was chill, a quiet graphic design student who mostly kept to himself. We didn't talk much, but he seemed harmless. It was only a week later that the dreams began. At first, they were just flashes. A long hallway, flickering lights, a black figure standing at the end, unmoving. In every dream, I'd walk down the hallway, unable to stop, my footsteps echoing louder and louder, until I woke up gasping. I didn't tell Adam about it. Seemed like just a weird nightmare. Until one morning over coffee, he looked at me, pale and shaken, and said, "Hey, you ever dream about a hallway?" I froze. We both stared at each other in stunned silence. He described the same exact hallway. The lights, the sounds, even the figure. "But it's just a dream, right?" he said, laughing nervously. I nodded, but it wasn't. The dreams kept happening, night after night. And each time, we'd get a little farther down that hallway. Each time, the black figure would be closer. Sometimes we'd wake up with the sheets soaked in sweat, gasping for air. One morning, I noticed deep scratches on my arm. Not like nail marks, more like claw marks. Adam had a bruise on his neck. We tried staying awake, drinking coffee, blasting music, even slapping ourselves. But no matter what, at some point, we'd just black out, and the hallway would return. We decided to record ourselves sleeping. We set up both our phones and hit record before we passed out, just in case. That night, the dream changed. We were in the hallway, as usual, but this time, The lights didn't flicker. They just went out all at once. We couldn't move, couldn't breathe, and we could feel the thing behind us, breathing, inches from our backs. I heard Adam scream, not in the dream, but in real life. I woke up choking, barely able to move. We checked the recordings. Mine cut out exactly 3 minutes in. The screen glitched and went black. Adam's kept going. In the video, we both lay still for hours until 3:12 a.m. Then the door to our room creaked open, slowly, but neither of us moved. Something stepped into the room. A tall, pitch-black figure. No face, no eyes, just a silhouette darker than the shadows. It walked to my bed first, leaned in, then turned to Adam's. The screen flickered as it hovered over him. And then the video ended. We didn't sleep for 2 days after that. We tried everything, sought around the doors, sleeping in shifts, even researching shared dreaming. All dead ends. Then Adam had an idea. If it's the same dream, what if we try to fight it together? That night, we laid down at the same time, held onto the same object, a steel flashlight, and focused on the hallway. It worked. We were both there, together. This time, the hallway seemed infinite. The figure stood closer than ever, now at the midpoint. We walked forward, side by side, flashlight in hand. The air grew heavier with every step. As we approached, it opened its mouth. No teeth, just a bottomless black void. We turned the flashlight on and aimed it at the thing. It screamed. Not a sound. Exactly. More like a feeling of your bones shattering from the inside out. The hallway cracked apart like glass, and we fell into blackness. I woke up on the floor, bleeding from my nose. Adam wasn't in his bed. I found him in the living room, eyes open, completely still. He wasn't breathing. Paramedics said it was a heart attack. No signs of struggle. No trauma. They took him away. I haven't had the dream since. But last night, I found the flashlight on my pillow, and it was still warm.